Hello and welcome to an all-new season of Make It Happen with Michelle. I'm your host, Michelle McCullough, and I am so excited because, as you can see, we are upgrading the show from not just podcast format to video as well. Over the next few weeks, you're going to see some changes happening on the set as we finalize a few details, but we are excited to bring the show to you live. You can continue listening on your favorite podcast platform, but you'll also be able to watch our episodes on YouTube or at speakmichelle.com. On today's episode, we are excited to bring you some new segments, everything from questions being sent in from audience members and also a few of my favorite things. Today's episode is all about goal setting and the intersection with happiness and how to set goals in this weird world that we live in. I share with you a few tips and ideas about finding the right accountability partner, but also making space for the goals that are right for you, not just the ones you feel like you should be doing. Thank you for joining me today on Make It Happen. As part of turning this into a show, we are adding a few new segments and I'm really excited about them. One of them is called Pick My Brain, which is where you get the opportunity to send in questions and then I answer them on the air. If you'd like to send in your question on anything from marketing to motivation or anything in between, you can send it to michelle@speakmichelle.com. Just put Pick Your Brain or Pick My Brain in the subject line so we can find it. Today's question comes from Emily from Provo, Utah. And she's a dear friend of mine, but I felt like this was a great question that we could have and a conversation that I feel like is really important as we're talking about goal setting. You know, when I wrote the book, Make It Happen Blueprint, we talked all about how to set goals, how to be focused, and how to be accountable so that you can achieve your goals and dreams. So her question really tees us up into something that I think we all kind of struggle with. She says, honest question, how do you keep a balance between working towards reaching a goal and being obsessed or one-track minded about it? Simple example, I picked a goal to work on a Christmas present between now and, well, Christmas. Simple goal brings me joy, attainable, little steps to get there. But I find myself so excited about it and easily frustrated when my efforts to be able to work on my goal fall through. The kids have a bad day, other chores need to get done, unexpected change of plans, and then I'm annoyed and frustrated with everything. Emily, I feel you. How do you wrestle with perspective and keep it reasonable? She goes on to say, life happens. Do you smile and move on? How do you press forward when you have those setbacks? Like you just didn't get to work on it and you were planning on it. So I love this question because we all have goals and then we're met with reality. Sometimes I call this life lifing us. And we are set with the question, do I power through? Do I let it go? And I live by a principle that I think helps in this case, and I hope that it helps you and anyone watching or listening, that I think that we have to make decisions by our priorities, not our goals, which is interesting because we want goals to be the forefront and we want our habits to match. But you have to make decisions based on your priorities, which means that your goal can be a priority, but in a moment's notice, it might shift down into a lower priority because something happens with your kids, or your boss says that something else is more important, or you have a setback because you got sick and you can't go running. Whatever your goal is, you have to look at your life in terms of priorities. Sometimes we mistake powering through on a goal to mean that we can be more successful at it, when sometimes it's okay to put it on the shelf. Now, the tricky part is there are times when you need to power through. So I want you to marry your goal with habits that you think will match. So if you have this project that you're wanting to get done, whether that's a gift or something for work or a personal goal like running a marathon or saving money, break down the habits that will help you, that will make it successful for you to reach your goal date. How much time could you spend on it each week, and could you put it into your calendar? Now, I know that things are still going to come up. I know that priorities will shift, but if you can break it down into little habits that you do consistently, then you're probably more likely to come back to it regularly. And if you have a little setback, or if you choose a decision based off of your priorities, then you'll be more likely to feel like you are in control rather than feeling out of control. What I hear you saying and what I feel on a regular basis is this constant nag to say, hey, I want to be in control of my goals. I want to be in control of my life. And yet something will happen that will shift us off course, and that's okay. The last piece of advice that I would give you or anyone that is in the audience today is to just take heart. life will happen and it's okay. Just figure out how to get back up and not let it mean anything about you and your ability to accomplish your goals. Sometimes we internalize our setbacks and they hold us back from accomplishing what we really want to have happen, but you truly can make it happen when you are focused in the right moment on your priorities. I'm cheering you on your goals now and forever and wishing you the best as you make it happen. I'm also excited to partner with some amazing brands that are helping to make this show possible. But today's show is being brought to you by the Marketing Blueprint Workshop. Every year, I put together an event in the fall that helps business owners create their marketing plan. We spend some time talking about marketing trends and the things that have shifted in the market, but then we also dive deep into creating your plan for the new year. Everything from deciding your messages, the mediums that you're going to use, the budget that's important, and all about social media and media to put together a cohesive approach to your marketing. You're welcome to join us at any time of year. So if you're listening to this in May, we have recordings available for you. But if you'd like to join us live, go to marketingblueprintworkshop.com. You'll see tickets available and all of the details that you need. We hope that you can join us. It's one of my favorite things that I do each year. Another fun new segment we have as we move into this new season of Make It Happen is a segment I'm calling A Few of My Favorite Things. I love reviews. And if you didn't know this about me, I also have an Instagram with a dear friend, Amy, called Mom's Opinions Matter that you can find us on Instagram. But I also love to share the things that I'm doing. So I'll be sharing a few of my favorite things on each episode. So today, my things for you, and these are not sponsored. No one paid me to say them. These are just the things that I am loving right now. Number one is dresses, which sounds really different for me because usually you can find me in jeans and a t-shirt, which you probably will on future episodes of this show. But I'm also loving dresses. They got me through the summer. They're getting me through fall. I love picking one thing and leaving the house and not worrying about matching or trying to figure out what's working. I can just throw on a dress and leave. And P.S. it feels like pajamas. So dresses, ladies, gentlemen, whatever floats your boat. Okay. My second favorite thing that I wanted to share with you today is the book Soundtracks by Jon Acuff. I actually listened to this book twice and loved it. There are lots of different authors out there that are talking about the power of positive thinking. And so there are other books on the subject. But what I loved is I loved this author, the very real approach and way that he talks about changing the things that are happening in your brain. And not just that you need to change them, but he provides practical tools and little ideas that you can put in place so that the soundtracks running through your brain will actually help you to make sure that you're staying on top of your goals and keeping your brain into a positive place. I listened to it twice, like I said. The first time, I just kind of gleaned, and then I got my own physical copy, so now I own it in 2 different ways. We are going to link that in the show notes for you if you'd like to be able to find it. We actually have Jon Acuff coming on the air on Make It Happen in 2 weeks, so grab the book, read some of the principles, and then you can share your questions and thoughts with us. I'm excited to have him on the show, and I really want you to be able to read this book. So this is my favorite read right now. My favorite treat, because you can always count on me for a good treat, is True Frou chocolate-covered frozen raspberries. I found mine at Costco, but they also have them in cups in lots of grocery stores all over the United States. I love them. They're in the freezer section. They have 2 layers of chocolate on top, and even just 2 or 3 make me really happy. Instead of grabbing out a whole bowl of ice cream, sometimes I do that too, I just grab 2 or 3 True Frous. I let them sit in a bowl. This is important information here, okay? You let them sit in a bowl for 5 to 12 minutes until they reach the desired consistency. Then they won't be so frozen on your teeth, but they will still be chilled and delicious. Aren't you so glad you turned in to Make It Happen today, where you got tips on not only life, but fashion and food? Those things are very loose, okay? We're being very fluid here. Those are a few of my favorite things. Have you ever heard about my experiences trying to train for a half marathon? A few years ago, under the influence of peer pressure and trying to better myself, I decided that I should become a runner. I had lots of friends who were running and they were loving it and saying it was the best thing ever and talking about the runner's high like I was missing out on something very exciting. And I assure you at that point, I felt like I was not. We ran a few 5Ks and I got excited because we did like the Halloween half and the Halloween 5K and I got to dress up like an 80s person and we had a good time. And then I ran a 10K and a few more 5Ks and my friend said, Michelle, if you would just run a half marathon, you would love running forever. That's a lie. But I believed them for a minute and I thought, okay, fine, I will train for a half marathon. And I set out, I found a training program online that I liked that helped me to plan it out from the time that I started to when race day happened. And I ran a lot. It was summer, it was fall, it was beautiful. I was actually running the Nebo half marathon, which was almost all downhill. So I did lots of practice runs in Provo Canyon. And my first time running an 8-mile run, I had my family drop me off at the top of Provo Canyon and leave me for dead. We left a car at Will's Canyon Stop at the end of the canyon, and I had to run 8 miles to get to my car. I was completely prepared. We had stashed water along the way. I had my goos, I had my chew, I had everything that I needed to be successful on my run, and I even had my runner's mace, just in case. I actually loved that 8-mile run. And when I think about it, I think, oh, maybe I should run again. And then I know better, but I still think, oh, that night was perfect. The sun was just going down below the mountains. It was cool. There were lots of people on the trail. It felt fun. It felt social, even though I was all by myself. I got to see people running and longboarding and walking, and it felt like a community of people enjoying the outdoors. As I ran past the last campground and I was about to go under the freeway, the sun is setting a little bit more and I start to get a little nervous because there are no humans around anymore. So I decide I'm going to be prepared and I turn the lock off on my can of mace. In that process, I felt a little bit more in control of the situation, but then less control just a few seconds later when I tripped over an uneven part of the trail and my thumb hit the mace. Now, I'm not sure if it was the aerosol in the air or if it was ricocheting off of my fingers as I was running. Regardless, there was mace in my face. And for the first 15 seconds, as I continue to run, my face doesn't even sting and nothing happens. And I'm wondering why on earth someone told me I had to run 7 miles holding this thing. But then only a few seconds after that, my face is aflame. I can barely see. My eyes don't want to stay open. I've got tears streaming down my face, and I am struggling just to see the dots on the path so that I can get the rest of the way to my car. I call my husband as soon as I get there because, of course, if his wife is running all by herself down the canyon, he's got his phone right on him, ready for a call anytime. It goes to voicemail. I stumble into the gas station. I am flushing my face with water, wondering if that's like the one thing you are not supposed to do. Maybe you need like this milk paste and that will make it better. And it takes me about 25 minutes of flushing my face with water while people are pounding on the door trying to come in and I'm ignoring them for me to finally get to the place where I felt like it was safe to drive myself home. Now, if this wasn't a moment, even like Emily's, who sent me that question earlier in the Pick My Brain segment, I don't know what is. In fact, in that moment, I looked to the sky and said, I get it. Michelle McCullough should never be a runner. But I had already told all 1,234 of my Facebook friends that I was running the half marathon, so quitting was not in my mind. I had to figure out how to power through. I think about this story frequently anytime we're faced with the idea of whether or not we continue on with goals and dreams. And the reality is that the world that we live in 2021 and beyond is even different than it was before. And if I'm being even more honest with you, I have a little bit of PTSD from the goals of yesteryear called 2020 that never came to fruition. And whether you're watching this show at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year and you're getting all excited, I am and will continue to be someone who feels really strongly about setting goals, small ones, big ones, and everything in between. The reality is that we will have mace in your face moments on a regular basis, whether it's from the people that we interact with, the other humans that are in our life, from family to friends to coworkers and bosses and everything in between. It might be a human that stops our path, but it also might be a change in our interest or a change of things that are happening in the world. And then you're faced with the question, what really matters? Or what do I want to do? Or is it even safe to have a goal in the world that we live in? One of the things that we have found in the work that we've done with individuals and organizations is that simply having a goal can excite you and ignite you into moving forward. In the life that you live, you can feel like it's a little bit of a humdrum, even mundane, doing everyday tasks that feel like nothing exciting is going on. And yet if you have a goal that you're working on, or maybe even a handful, you're often more excited and happier than if you don't. Even if the goal never comes to fruition, having a goal can help you. I once did some coaching with a good dear friend of mine who was working for a company and she really was struggling. She didn't like her job. She was overworked, underpaid, and she wasn't utilizing her gifts, talents, and skills the way that she wanted. Through the course of our conversation, it wasn't the right time for her to quit, and she knew that, but she also knew that she wasn't going to survive very long under her current circumstances. So we talked about goals that could excite her, something completely separate from her business that would help her to stay focused and interested in what she was working on. What we found is that she had this goal and idea for her to do some stained glass. Something that she's always wanted to do. She even had all of the tools. She just didn't have a place to do it or the brain space. And in that one session, I challenged her that her only job for the next week on that particular goal was to set up a space, whether it was in an office that already existed or find a place in her garage or do it in her bedroom in the corner to set up the table and to set everything out. Interestingly enough, when she reported back a week later, she shared with me that just knowing she could do that helped her feel hope. And she found the time to find the space, to get out her tools, and she didn't do a single bit of stained glass. But knowing that she was making space for it in her brain and in her home helped her to feel like something good was coming around the corner. What can you do or work on right now that is within your control that would help you feel like you're moving forward? We are in the moving forward business. I know that even I, for the last 18 months, have found a lot of great excuses and legitimate reasons to hit the pause button on my life. I paused everything from relationships to my business to even working on some specific goals just to feel like I was in survival mode. And yet I also know that Michelle McCullough needs something to work on. So I had to find something that I could do that would help me feel like I was using my gifts and talents and also help me feel like I could thrive. Now, you've heard all the stories. Some people baked bread. I baked bread. Some people picked up new hobbies in physical fitness and decided to start running or walking or bought a Peloton. I wish I bought a Peloton. I bought a bike, but it's not a Peloton. And we have these different things that we do, and all of those from small to big matter. And yet, if you have one of your mace in your face moments, it doesn't mean that you should stop. It just means you need to recenter and focus on your why. You've probably heard of the SMART formula by George Doran, that goals should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive. And I think that's great. I grew up in the Franklin Covey era where they encouraged that same type of formula with your goals. And yet I also think that any SMART goal is missing the juice that needs for it to make it happen without having a why. Why is that goal important to you? Why do you want to accomplish it? Why do you want to run a half marathon or exercise or save some money or work on a business goal that excites you? Why is it important to you? And it could be because you want to have personal development or business growth. It could be because you want to accomplish that one thing. It could also just be because it makes you happy. There are a lot of things that I've done over the last 12 months simply because I knew they would bring me joy. And your happiness matters. More than ever, happiness is something that should be at our focus and forefront. Not just surviving, but thriving in the world that we live in, where we feel like we have things that are not just within our control, but bring us happiness and joy. So what are you doing to bring you joy? What are you doing to make you feel a little bit more alive? And what are you doing, even if you feel like you've been halted or paused, to help you get out of the funk and be able to move forward? In my conversations with clients, both business and personal, they're all asking themselves the question, what if something else happens? And what if something else might happen? And at any moment of time, you can change your mind. You can change your goal, you can change your vision, you can change what you're working on. But pursuing the goal that you have in this moment right now will help you move forward. If 5 weeks from now or even 5 days from now something shifts, make a shift. It's okay. But give yourself the permission to grow and practice at the ways that you can improve. You know, I love the principle of practice. And in my book, The Make It Happen Blueprint, we talk all about practices that you can put in place in your life that will help you to thrive and feel like you're being a high performer. Now, it doesn't mean that they always work. It's not about perfection, but it's about practicing at the things that you want to do in order for you to accomplish your next goal. So what practices can you put in place? What habits can be there for you? Now, some people will ask in this place, well, how many goals should I have? I recommend no more than 3 to 5. 3 to 5 goals will keep you focused and busy. But for some people, if you're at a place right now where you're like, you know what, last year was really rough. How about 1? I'm going to cheer you on in that 1 goal. And I would love for you to share with us what goal it is that you're working on. Studies have shown that when you are accountable to somebody, you're more likely to increase it. Just like I was more likely to finish and actually run the half marathon, which I did, because I had good friends cheering me on and I had told publicly that it was something I was working on. Even working on this show is something that I put out publicly in the world because I didn't want to back out and I wanted people to keep me accountable to the things that I wanted to do. The reality is that with the day I've had and the few weeks leading up to this, I wanted to quit 500 times. And yet, sitting here in this moment, I'm so glad that I didn't. And I'm so glad that I'm here. And you will have those moments too. So if you focus on your 1 to 5 goals that will help you to move forward, you will feel excited about them as you invite someone else to be accountable with you. Studies have shown that if you find somebody to be accountable to, you are 65% more likely to accomplish the goal just by having that conversation and enrolling them in the things that you're working on. However, the percentage actually goes up to 95% if you set a time to meet and report back with that person, along with the goal or the date that you want to have happen. So if you know you have something that you want to accomplish in your business, set a goal and a date and tell someone. Now, while we're here for a minute, I want to share with you a principle about choosing an accountability partner. An accountability partner is someone that you want to work with that is going to equally cheer you on, give you a little bit of grace, but then also push you to make it happen. Sometimes spouses are great accountability partners, and sometimes they're the worst ones. So make sure that you know where your relationship fits with your spouse to decide whether or not this particular goal should be with them or with a friend or with a coach or a mentor or with someone else that you can reach out to that is doing something similar. I have a very good friend who loves to hike. She has specific goals about how she's going to hike, and she has a hiking friend that she's accountable to. She doesn't always hike with that friend, but she's accountable to that friend about the kinds of things she's working towards, the peaks that she wants to summit, and the frequency with which she hikes. And it makes her a lot more successful in reaching that goal. So who is going to help you and cheer you on? I've had a number of different accountability partners, and the ones that work best for me are the ones who give me a little bit of grace when I need it, but then, like I said, push me when I am slacking. And I have good friends over the years who I'm sure are going to watch this and go, Michelle, I didn't push you hard enough. I should have pushed you a little bit harder. And maybe that's true, but also think about the kind of accountability partner that you can be, because a great accountability partner will cheer you on in your things, but you can also cheer them on in yours. You might need a few different accountability partners, someone to help you with your personal goals, someone to help you with your professional goals, and someone to help you with your physical or even financial goals. One accountability partner may not fit all in the goals and dreams that you want to put together. And sometimes accountability partners can feel like those mace in your face moments that make you question whether or not you want to continue. So just make sure you're choosing the right fit. As you think about your goals and dreams and the ways that you want to move forward, and if you're feeling in yourself right now, I don't even know what I want anymore. I had 2 conversations with clients this week that expressed that concern. And it's interesting because I felt the same thing. In a weird world with unpredictable circumstances and circumstances that seem to change with a moment's notice, you can wonder, what do I even want? Because sometimes it's really great to just sit in your bed or clean out your Netflix queue or try new foods all the time. And maybe that's more important than anything else you want to accomplish. And so you might be wondering, can I even, or what do I even want? Do a little brainstorming, take a little break. Just write down on a piece of paper some things that you want to accomplish, do, or have, and then see if there's something that really excites you. But beware. When you're doing the goal conversation, we often think about things in terms of shoulds. I should do this. I should have a physical goal. I should be working on my exercise. I should want to save money, or I should want to grow my business. You will never be successful in any goal that has should with it, but you will be successful in the goals that excite you and ignite you and that get you interested in blocking out time so that you'll be successful in the habits that it will take to bring it to fruition. So as you consider the different goals that you want to bring about, make sure that they don't feel heavy or that they're placed upon you because of what other people think. My spouse feels like I should do this. My friends feel like I should do that. My boss really wants me to do this. But until you are rooted in your why, it will feel hard and heavy, and you will feel like you're trudging through mud. And I'm not saying there won't be those moments where you feel like you're trudging through mud when you're excited about it. Those are what I call the dip, right? You fall into the dip, and they're there to question. They're trials of your fate. Not trials of your faith, though I believe in those too, but trials of your fate that make you question whether or not you really want the thing that you want. And so somewhere in the midst of shoulds, but then also those moments that try you and push you through, those little mace in your face experiences, can help you decide, do I still really want this? And if so, you push past those hard things into what you ultimately want to accomplish. In your goals, it's important to be flexible and fluid, but also to be really fixed on the end result so that you can have the things that you want to have. I feel like happiness and goals intersect, as we've talked about, but I also know that your joy matters now and forever. And if it doesn't make you feel happy, that goal can't be part of your life right now. So keep brainstorming, keep trying, and don't give up. Progress and perfection are these two things that make us question how we want to move forward, and yet the progress is what ignites us and helps us to become the kind of people that we want to be. Personal growth is good, and also taking a pause is good too. So don't feel pressure right this moment if you need a little bit more time, but give yourself a deadline. If you're in this moment thinking, you know what, I just need a couple more weeks, take a couple more weeks, but put on your calendar a time to set a goal. You will feel more interested and excited about moving forward in your goals and dreams when you give yourself time and space. So give yourself some deadlines, and if you need a couple days, take it back, but don't give yourself any extra pressure, worry, or fret if it doesn't happen exactly the way that you want it. You can change your mind at any time. You can change your deadline. You can change the circumstances, but start with finding something that really excites you and helps you want to move forward. I know today we kind of talked about simple principles, but as I was thinking about how to start this show with a new set and video opportunities, I wanted to go back to some of the basics. And especially with the conversations I've had with clients this week, I know that we're all trying to figure out, how do we set goals and how can I put my happiness at the forefront? So I wanted to come back to this simple principle. If you find that you're at a place where you're rocking your goals, I want to hear about them and I want to share them with others. So I hope that you'll leave some comments on this episode. And I also hope you'll reach out to me at Michelle@speakmichelle.com. I want to share some of your successes in future episodes. So hope you'll share those with us. Thank you for watching and being part of our very first upgraded edition of Make It Happen. I honor you for giving me 30 minutes of your day, and I am cheering you on in your goals and dreams. I'm going to encourage you to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening, and I would be honored if you'd leave a review, an honest review with your favorite thoughts and feelings, and especially your takeaways, so that others who are looking for good content and feel like it's a match will know what it's like because of you. We will also be sharing some reviews in future episodes, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say. For now, I'm wishing you all the best in your goals and dreams and in your happiness and cheering you on. Make it happen.